You are Odin, and I am.
Poseidon, huh?
Yeah. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, you're Odin, and I'm Poseidon.
Oh no. This is such a bad matchup.
Maybe this will be a really good matchup for you.
Hopefully, I don't know.
That's a great fight to win. Do it again, though? Right? Right, you're not at a point yet where the Jade Dragon can run away with this game. Yeah. If you're able to capitalize on this, right? Let's just take a quick pause. I think the storyline, not only throughout this set, but through the playoffs, should the Jade Dragon win this game, is Sam for Soccer and his ability to continually impact the game. I don't think it's an overstatement to say Sam has not played his best fight in recent weeks. Jade Dragon has struggled. Sam, I think, like we said, another 1,500 gold in this tier 2 tower in mid. I mean, the only thing that keeps this game alive is that kill on the Heroine as of right now. I think if he was back, that healing was still available. We're watching the Dragons having already killed the Titans at this point. I mean, it's 11,000 gold. The Dragons are in control. The good news is that they don't have the best secure in the world. The Rivers of Butte makes things really difficult to see. They've got good zones for the Dragons. We saw in the last fire. But if she was still around, and Thor was still around, and they were fighting battle with nobody, I think the Titans do still have the presence to be able to showcase around some of these objectives. Granted, it feels like it's going to be a long shot, but they do have some good team fight capabilities. This is a good opportunity for Aurora to walk forward. Forward up, right beside Chuck. The Jade Dragon is going to work down the left and Seer Door. So this is actually a perfect Searing spawn for the Jade Dragon. The Fire Giant is going to be up to, what, 15, 20 seconds. We're going to have the only fire wave pushing out here for the Jade Dragon on the opposite side of the map. There are CMAP minions on the left. That will slow down the push a little bit. But this is, I thought an inflection point was that first FC for the Jade Dragon. Now the Titans do have to decide whether you're stepping up to this one 20 minutes into the game, but it's going to be an FC. Score, this game might just be over if the Jade Dragons are able to get this one. This Fire Giant's either a comma and the long sentence of this game, or it's the exclamation point for the Dragons to win. Right? They are either going to get this and they're going to get the game, or the Titans are going to have something to do. Still, upgraded off from Aurora into the trophy factor. Finally hit that level 12, had it for the last fight. Now that it's upgraded, it's really helpful. See that doing their work on the left. Aurora gets flushed in, but the people so we fought out.
Oh.
They're like takes the stun here. A little bit of damage will reach this way.
What?
One blow on HP as well. That's we can push back to Titans so far. But you have to look at
That is stupid.
still have all five. Fire. Does make it a little more awkward. He's highlighted that fire. Not together. Fire Giant tapping. So it's been the clutch. Into the back line. What a wall. What a passive. It's up from Benji, but it won't matter. Forward there, Mike. He's got the damage, and here comes the strike. 2 down for the Tartarus Titans. The roar has been left to the wolves. The Panic Cat will clean up all 3 for the Jade Dragon. Sam for Soccer schooling it out with Paul, and that's no big deal for Sam. He gets taken down on the back end, and for the Jade Dragon start off this set with an exclamation point. And I love the way they made this call. Look at them. They are stopping for the right Phoenix. I thought they were just going to run through. My no case seems to have that note. He was just going to run into the Titans players versus the world. Trust me. The world wins this one.
I ran out of... Ah!
Even more than that. This was a huge game from start to finish from the Dragon stage. The objective play, the skill focus at every single target that they jumped into and jumped onto, they knew that they had a purpose to continue to win. They got those objectives in mind, made sure they teamed them up, and they just, I mean, what, 2 minutes in, had 3,000 gold. Just now had like a 15,000. They took a lead and drove. And who's in the forefront of that? Sam for Soccer. Game number 1. That is a trend that the Jade Dragon needed. Trend not made after 1 game. Trend made after game here for the Jade Dragon. But the start of a trend is very good for the Jade Dragon and Jade Dragon fans. Other players got to figure out that early game for advance here in this set. Jade Dragon will take game 1. We'll take a break. Right back to game 2. I actually picked up that. That was, I'm not talking to you. Yeah, dude.
Ow.
Next up, I was, focus, this one. X caster and right. Gordon? X caster. Bloodbath!
Bloodbath.
Bloodbath! Bloodbath! Blood. Logo 3005 positive techno kill, mega con, testing phase here, alright? We're talking 200 galaxy brain roll, special fight reach, big player, you'll see, next time you watch it.
Oh, come on.
Ooh.
Come on, you fucking bitch.
Mr. Pan.
Goddamn controller. Son of a...
Damn it.
Oh, come on.
Woo.
back, everybody. It seems like it is playoff time based on how the Jade Dragon is playing. That looks a lot like playoff Dragon
Integrity lead.
we're, of course, looking on their six games where in your hands, this post is sponsored by our title sponsor over there at Fight. Player hands, or is it above the FPL. Agro still joined by Inbound and Taco. Apparently it is that they don't have to care about them. They're going to show up and dominate on playoff days. Right, Bobby? That's all it is? Yeah, that's all it is. Who needs the right notice? All you got to do is get top 6, make the top 6, make it to the playoffs, good for your right.
Oh, come on.
Turned on early, in particular by Sam Soccer, who had probably his best game of phase 2, starting off early in that first play.
That was a fantastic performance for Sam. That early first one, I kind of dictated the entire pacing of this game. Or at least, I know I talked a lot pre-game on how much impact the early four-quarter fights even had so much outright first damage, but none of that ever really becomes an issue when your Amazon is dying at level 2 and it's a prolonged spend when your first modality, so immediately recovery win no longer under threat because you had to put the pressure in because the Amazon now has to focus on great farming when you have the big jungle focused on recovery. Well, that's sideways open to the
Excuse me.
For the first time in what feels like a long time, I can say that a jungler was top player for a long time. Sam was doing that much work on this Erlong 10. 5-0-9. We're a little bit worried about that pick. And let's get behind.
Oh!
Sam was able to do that type of stuff. Yeah, I mean, exactly. In that 3v3, there is so much ability that if you get that, you are nigh unstoppable. Nobody can slow you down. It's irrelevant. So Sam did exactly what he walked with that first blood, and he got Hurry free farming that early game, and Hurry ended up not getting to kill either.
Ow, come on.
From ahead. Seems like the plan was we're going to give them one really good one. Two really good ones on the back. Not that fun. If it's as simple as the amount of silence was less valuable than the
Boo.
Mojo wasn't even the biggest problem. It was mostly just how they played that early game. Like Taco said, that level 2 is probably the most important play in the entire game. If it goes the other way, and maybe said players gets a kill there, the game is probably over the other way. And I think this is something that players cannot put in position to die at that point. L's level 2 is too strong, Erlang's level 2 is too strong, and Tia's is pretty negligible. I think you have to play safer there, wait for your time, and wait for your way.
I'm gonna go lay down and fall asleep now. This is how I sound like when I sleep.
No, it's not, because we've heard you sleep before.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Nope. Not even close.
Alright, how about this one?
That's closer. Yep, that's about it. Alright. Kevin, you are...
Let's be somebody good.
King Arthur.
What's up with all these warriors?
I am... Oh! Huh? Well, I'm Osiris, so...
Surprise, surprise, the app is rigged.
Surprise, rigged with what? With both warriors.
Yeah, but they favor you more.
I can't play Osiris for shit. I wish I could play Osiris.
When you are struggling. The Odin pick, though, obviously, I was just saying, right?
Yeah, and I think this gives you some insurance against hell, right? And now that the Dragons are disincentivized to pick that god, where it's still an option to play.
Even Hell, Giannis, there's Morgan Le Fay. I think that those are three mages that we've definitely seen hurry pilots in the past, and all three of them can definitely have some troubles when trying to deal with the Odin. And the Odin as well, kind of like an Osiris first pick, it's very vague. You don't actually know if it's intended for solo. There is some room, I think, for a flexibility opportunity here, but I'd like the response of the Jade Dragon to take away that Osiris. I think if you left it open, there would have been an opportunity potentially for Titans to take it for jungle, so having that removed might make it a little bit easier as far as utilizing. It's similar to mentality for the Jade Dragon. Maybe they're one of the few teams that will play with Odin and just go all damage.
Hey, I mean, I said they're discouraged, you know, but I didn't say they weren't allowed to. The Dragons decide they will anyway. Hell up against Odin, tough, but more manageable than it used to be, right? You don't break down those walls with auto attacks. Fashionir, Tsunami, Rob, gods that are really good at knocking off those hits on the Ocean, something along those lines. But certainly the Phantom, I think, will work.
Yeah, it does not feel good playing Hell into Odin without the Phantom. Even if you can kill the cage in most scenarios, just one cage late game where Hell can't get out of it quick enough and she's dead. So I think you kind of need that Phantom.
Tsunami got pretty far behind in game one. But take a different selection for Cyclostring this time. And Titans go Jade Dragon-esque with the Soul. I believe we saw Paul play it once or twice this phase. And I believe we laughed about Paul's build at some point because it was a little askew. And I want to say we, I'm talking about me and the other Titans players during the media day. If I remember, we were laughing a little bit about that build. Maybe you learned his lesson in that regard. Soul, this early, I mean, in what world does Jade Dragons assume Paul is going back to Soul? Is this really what they did?
Soul just introduces a lot of objective threats that are paired alongside the bomb, and as far as finding follow-up damage for that early cage, it is a little bit easier, I think, for that Spring Nova to take up that 1 second of that cage. I wouldn't really depend too much on the bomb, but half barrage here and there, but I think mostly it's just the fact too that Soul is
my
a lot
knee.
of fight and some level 2 action between these two teams in mid-jungle, then
Hurting again?
a little bit more relevant for Paul
Yeah.
to have a god that can actually box it out as opposed to Tiamat where God said be a little bit more respected because the power specs of that.
Just because I'm sitting in a weird position.
Yeah, really the only thing I can think of is they're just, they need this 2v2 to not be so bad that they just prioritize the Soul because she does have a very good level 2. It's one of the few mages that can block up against that Bell and actually play well with her. So yeah, I guess that's just what they're planning on taking out of the mid lane to get a little bit of champion threat also, but that's definitely not what I was expecting from Paul.
Me either. And I'm a little surprised you don't get faster than Titans. So if you have the first pick coming out of the stand phase, I don't think you can afford to get faster round because then you just start exactly. You already have an attack with that Odin. We don't talk about very much. God does get that attack buff with that 3. You add in a fast here, I feel like your objectives are all in serious trouble. So I'd be very surprised if the Dragons weren't intending on picking fast here in this spot, but they didn't at least ban it. They don't intend on picking Ardio instead, bringing some flexibility to that spot. You don't know whether the Siren or Ardio.
Yeah, I guess it's just to keep that like surprise factor up there. Osiris can play multiple roles, Ardio can play multiple roles. It's just, I guess, to get the counter pick or priority picks in multiple different roles. Yeah, the factor hasn't been too prioritized yesterday, especially kind of pick towards the bottom or maybe ban in the second half, and we saw a lot of priority in that during regular season.
Would you have liked Factory more than Kepri in this spot?
I think the Kepri's fine. Like you said, you have so much objective spread. What you've been killing in 6 and 7 seconds, there's really no difference. But having that heal for the Kepri on the back end, or extra kill potential with Kepri's 2 and full 3 combo, I like the Kepri pick actually.
And the Ratatosker kind of rounded off a little bit better as well, because there is a lot of single target focus at least. Kepri definitely was better supports for kind of negating that, but more importantly, I think it's just the knockup feature from that Brute Cosmo, something that is going to have not only that level 2 engagement with the soul, but it's a great setup for an Aspirant, it's a great setup for that Stellar Burst Supernova combination, and it takes up a little bit of AoE as well, so you can have some further follow-up in terms of space control outside of the skill.
Sure, last pick here. Not what I was expecting, but they end up switching this RDO forward towards Final K. And Sam on the Osiris. Mike, I assume that's where it's going. Here's all the pass, but I can't imagine taking out a Mike hand type of draft. Very good, it's good on the walls, but this every matchup is one that Bobby I think that's a pretty volatile one. You fall behind on the smear and you start...
Damn it.
Yeah.
That's weird. Cloudy Index 7 wants to see the gameplay. I don't know. I think one of my buddies,
And getting onto the Amir, Mike could have to play pretty safe because they can all in pretty easily.
And I think another reason why Paul might have been more into Soul as opposed to a different mage is that he wanted that range perception. Soul, I think, is one of the few mages that doesn't have to get out the kill zone in order to do the wave and to look for further poke damage. The slow application, I think, is also relevant here. There's a lot of really nice slows I can utilize against the and the RDO, so it could be an instance, well, it really just all depends on how that early game goes for Titans. Again, I think that they had a better early game in game 1, but they were ripped apart because of that level 2.
I mean, Tiamat and Amazon certainly much worse level 2 than Soul Ratatosk. So adjustments have been made by the starter cycle. We'll see if it makes the difference. Game number 2, a bounce-back desire for the Titans. We'll see if they can make it happen. Jolson and Gore bringing you the action. And the Tartarus Titans have drafted themselves something that can do it. Gore, I think our eyes immediately have to look to the jungle because that's where everything started in game 1. Sanford Soccer on the Erlang Shen of game 1 found an easy kill, let's not mince words here, onto layers. In the game, effectively we would learn was lost from that point on because Sanford Soccer pushed that lead. Different look in the jungle this game. Something, if I can say, much more impactful, but with the potential of this Ratatosker, needs to be a big game for players.
I actually think it has a lot to say early on as well, and that's what I'm really looking forward to from players, because like you said, I mean, we got a ton of action in the first, 3 minutes? Despite there only being 1 kill that had happened, there was a ton. You freaking wish, hurry. Maybe playing the wrong game here, gets it a little too close. But it was exactly this pace in game 1 too, right? Everybody seems to be getting low, there's pressure in the duo, there's pressure in mid, there's pressure everywhere. And yet there was still only 1 kill. I think that Layers is going to be able to attack this to either find kills in return, or be the one finding that 1 kill if it stays around that.
Here's the good news for Hurrywin. He's hell. So, he's back to just a moment later. Paul doesn't have that same luxury. Hurrywin walked forward, tried to clear the wave. Paul took some damage, had to use all of his pots, so Paul has no more pots in that lane. So that actually could be something someone tackle.
Like you said, not just the pots, has mannequins as well, so he's gone for a different starter at the very beginning. And that, in and of itself, I mean, we haven't necessarily seen a lot of Vamp Shroud in the mid lane, but like, you're not getting a lot of sustain, period, outside of what Soul has already. Her 1, relatively good at keeping you healthy, but not heavily leveled as of right now.
A little bit with the trinket.
So yeah, it's probably going to be, it was a little bit of headlight steal there. What, like 4%, I think, on the trinket?
Not about.
It's gonna keep him okay for now, but any amount of pressure would definitely topple it. But it's Osiris in hell. Not necessarily worried about these first 5 levels.
I was gonna say, if that's an Erlang Shen.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I didn't know you had your thorns up.
knock up and Sam for Soccer's off to the races.
I had actually just put him
A
up.
lot of that pressure from Sam in game one funneled to this left side of the map. Cyclone Spin only died once in that onslaught of a few minutes. Polar Bear Mike was making a lot of plays on that Yamoja. The Ymir, I think, carries somewhat similar expectations for PBM. Paul is taking a lot of damage here, and Hurrywind, with his last bit of mana, sends some range damage Paul's way. Scores another first blood for the Jade Dragons in the mid 2v2.
Maybe I gave him too much of a window. I said 2 to 3 levels. I wasn't necessarily worried about that for a little bit.
2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, well, not even right at 2 to 3 seconds. 2 to 3 skirmishes in this game. Yeah, Sam, I think it is a very important note to say that those slows are going to be very, very helpful. And already, even over here on left, yeah, they still are able to get aggressive on the
I don't know.
That is a.
I don't know if I'm gonna ever get you that low ever again.
How much damage Hurrywind can
I don't care if I lose this one.
I was literally in my shop there.
Guard, just a little bit. This game far from over. We're 3 minutes in. If Hurrywind on this hell
you
does
know
as well
what?
as he did in game
That's
one,
it.
I think you got to think about banning this out again or picking it away. Paul is really good at health. So if you have a run-back performance here for the Jade Dragons, then again, we're far away from that, but you're already at 1,000 gold in game 2 for the Jade Dragons. Something you got to consider. Aurora gets slowed on down. Horrific Emblem used by Polar Bear Mike. The last bit of mana used to slow down Aurora. And there's a taunt back in for Panda Cat as well. And Sam for Soccer has rotated to the left side of the map. Easy as you like. Sam for Soccer on this Osiris has showed no signs of slowing down.
You know, maybe it's just recency bias. We spent so long talking about the Titans and the jungle specifically. Actually, speaking of which, Layers up.
Can the stun hit? Yes, it can onto both. Spin to win, baby. Layers answers back, and the Tartarus Titans at least is able to get 1 kill in return. You're right, Gore. On this Ratatosker. He'll pay the iron price for his kill, and Polar Bear Mike is the one in range to collect.
Sam has ult. I mean, they could theoretically, look, PBM's low, PBM has no mana, but if they wanted to, they might have been able to stick it to Cyclone Spin as well, just to showcase what they have. If that Disapparate isn't there, Hurrywind might be showing Paul, again, a little bit more of that hell damage. But, you know, recency bias, and notably because Layers just gets a kill, that's where all of our mindset, at least my mindset, has been for the Titans, because that's what looks better. You pick up a jungler, all of a sudden everything's changed for them. They skyrocket in terms of their standings, at least in my mind, for Phase 2. But the Dragons haven't cared about Layers. I mean, they got that first blood in Game 1. So far this game, they've kind of pushed them out. They did just get that kill, which is very helpful for them. But admittedly, I think a lot of this pressure on Duo is what's kind of helping them out. Like, Aurora effectively couldn't do anything last game, and Cyclone Spin, I mean, even now has no mana to work with.
And even if Sam for Soccer isn't here, Polar Bear Mike's just walking. But that's a one-man purple buff invade that kind of was a coin flip there. Polar Bear Mike had to get abducted by Aurora to make that one. Cyclone's been able to get the purple buff at the end of the day, though. So, outside of a kill and a couple of assists here in the duo lane, it's not like the Tartarus Titans have fallen way behind. And we've seen now signs of life from Layers on this Ratatosker, but now that we've hit that level 5 point, already seen the Rat ult used to get some pressure building for the Titans on the left. Now is where you need to see that a little bit more widespread around.
It's 2,000 gold. We're 5.5 minutes in. The Dragons, I mean, yeah, a bit of that is going to be your first blood bounty, I guess, a little bit. That is going to be scooped up from a couple of those kills, but a lot of this has been the invades. You can really tell that the farm, 1,300 in their favor, that's where it's really starting to pay off. Ymir has about a level lead. You've got about a level there in solo and mid as well. So the Dragons are right now just focused on the map play a little bit better. And they're getting kills to boot, right? I mean, if you're getting invades that are clean, Mike didn't even get the last one, yet they still have been able to pull a lot of that into their favor.
And Gore, Greater Scorpion going down might be impactful for something I'll get into here in a minute. A 2v2 breaks out in left. Short device does a whole lot of damage. And Panda Cat able to detonate that Scarab's Blessing. Sam for Soccer will blink on through, and the last bit of damage connects for the Jade Dragons jungler. Or Cyclone Spin rather, sends some snipes on in. Can Layers make a difference?
Well, he's going to come crashing down onto Sam, but they've 4 members of the Dragons here. What are you going to do with
Sam for Soccer is just going to walk on away. Lord of the Afterlife is used, but that is an easy price to pay for the Jade Dragons. A clean, executed fight. The Jade Dragons will find one, and what I was about to get at prior to that fight breaking out, the Greater Scorpion goes down, Gore. Now we can flip back to play number 1 in the Jade Dragons playbook. Gold Fury is up. We've gotten the kill on left. I don't know if they start it now because everyone's back up, but the threat of this early Gold Fury is looming, especially with the Stone Cutting Sword already in available.
And this is one of those weird moments, but cooldown timers on ults is maybe the most crucial, and you have to think 3 for 3, but it looks like Mike was a little ahead of Aurora, so he's going to have his back a little sooner. Same thing for PandaCat, and of course same thing there for Sam. He's going to have his back a little faster than Layers. Those open up that opportunity for a Gold Fury a lot quicker for the Dragons. Granted, I mean, we're talking 20 seconds of a window, so it's maybe not even that big of a deal for them. They might be able to make something happen. They also might just do it the old-fashioned way, not care about their ults. Cyclone has done a great job of staying alive for the last 2 seconds, though. Still has the speed, has been hovering around no mana. Yeah, we'll back here. And I think that's actually the greatest fault of them, is that they've just been so far pressured out in duo, they can't really fight.
The Tartarus Titans are fully alive here, though. Nobody's had to die yet for the Jade Dragons to take this one down. Instead, it's just good old-fashioned pressure for the Jade Dragons. And a 8 minute Gold Fury goes to the Dragons. And that widens up this gold lead another few hundred, 3,000 gold, 8 minutes in. I guess it's more of a tree, or a decision tree for the Jade Dragons when it comes to the early Gold Furies. A kill is not required, but pressure maybe is required, and that's what the Jade Dragons got. They're able to capitalize.
It's deja vu at this point. I mean, when we hit the 10-minute mark, it was about 3,000 gold. A lot of it is very similar. The kills are almost the exact same as well. It was, I think, 5-1 last time around when we started hammering the gold point home. So they just need one more kill, ideally, to try and at least match themselves.
Sure, they'll get it.
This is just where things get a little more tumultuous, again, for the Titans. Because when you look at this comp, admittedly, Layers should be maybe a little more active early on. That's what you think of when you think of Brad Oscar. But I see Paul on the Soul, I see Cyclone on Rom, Aurora on Kefri, and then Benji.
Oh, come on.
Eventually. This team really, even though they're down 3,000 gold now, if they can, again, cut the bleeding, stem the bleeding, they'll be just fine to take some late game fights.
Here's some bad news for Benji. He's a level behind. We'll see what happens here with PandaCat as the rocket connects for a little damage onto Cyclone's been doing his best to dodge out the autos. He avoids a lot of damage. PandaCat has hit everything there. It's likely one dead Cyclone. PandaCat going in. No, he's not. Just back in the lane. But Cyclone Spin has got to leave. Nonetheless, that sometimes indicates the Jade Dragons are close by. It's not a purple buff invade on the back end of some pressure from PandaCat. Said we're sending 3 on over mid. The point I was going to get at about Benji, though, Benji's a level behind. There's been plenty of pressure building up this RDO. And the tier 1 tower is already gone and right.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it is. I didn't even notice that. I'm so used to it. Like,
Benji's been against 2 levels. Benji's been against that tower line.
Oh.
Since level, 3.
And this RDO has been oppressive, and when I look at a lot of, not just the disengages, you got a cripple field that's going to be very helpful, but getting into the backline, controlling the Titans is going to be useful.
Good wall from Mike to keep Aurora right where he is, but Aurora's able to dash on away. Paul is taking a lot of damage, but the Scarab's blessing is there. Final table, heal on up at the tower shot.
Damn.
Oh my god.
So close.
Got me down to 63.
Oh, just one more hit would have done it.
Tartarus Titans able to slow down the initial pressure from the Jade Dragons at least.
I mean, they
I think my minions might have still finished it though.
Oh, probably. Most
Overall,
likely.
I mean, not a really big fight for the Dragons. They weren't.
I gotta use that more fast.
Pyro, yeah. Page 2 of the playbook is the same thing as page 1, but replace Gold Fury
on
with
the other side of the map.
Right. So Pyromancer will go to the Jade Dragons here. A potential for a blue buff invade was there if it were up, but Benji lucky in the fact that it's not up and ready to be taken here just yet. This RDO, Gore, has just felt obnoxious to play against. Yarkor has looked amazing on this pick. Final K can't be all that far off, if far off at all, as far as playing RDO near the peak of her potential. It's just got a little bit of everything, doesn't it? And especially in the hands of a very capable solo laner. The ability to not only control that lane, but then team fight later on is near some of the highest that I've
To start contending in the next few minutes.
Well, that's a conversation. And she will set up the need by the Tartar Titans on the brink. I turn the game around. They'll be in the pit as far as the goal differential goes. They're in the Fire Giant pit, getting the buff for 4 out of 5.
I mean, you had such a wild amount of control here if you were the Dragons, but never enough to turn it into something as substantial in the map as they did in game number 1. Now, around the same point where they were starting to knock down the Phoenixes, go into the Titan room even, they are having to play patiently, and they're going to have to sit back. I see Paul, I see Cyclone Spin, both with a Fire Giant. I see 3 tier 2s and a tier 1 that are about to stop existing, and that gold lead is going to disappear instantly. In fact, I think it's going to switch over to the Titans, as long as they can continue this pace.
Yeah, the good news is, I guess, losing all of your tier 1 towers early is that, well, there's only 1 tier tower left for the Jade Dragons, is that you can get some of that free gold when the first fire giant of the game goes your way. And this is what I was talking about earlier when I'd say the Tartarus Titans are a very capable team of turning around a game like this. And they've done so, Gordon. And the ability, as you mentioned, to flip this gold lead back in their favor is right in their hands here. Cyclone's been pivotal, I think, in that last fight. Crucial. Those snipes killing off Hurrywind the moment the fight started, I think is where that snowball starts to build up. Downhill.
And it was the perfect timing. They were still waiting for the Aegis and the beads to...
Okay, so you are... Ooh, Kukulkan.
Alright. Nice, nice.
I am. I'm Kernan or Cernanos.
Oh, nice.
This one's
This would
pretty
be-
interesting.
This one would be pretty good.
It almost landed on Chiron. It was on Chiron, and then it just barely clicked over to CERN.
Oh, dang.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
A hellscape, nice.
Dragon Doggo.
Dragon Doggo. Little wiener dog. Ain't nothing but a hound dog. You probably are a friend of mine. By now, I'd be coming home from Shang-Chi. I am so hurt.
Shang-Chi.
the late game. And the Dragons, following a similar pace to Game 1, cut off around 15 minutes. When we saw the Fire Giant in Game 1, didn't happen in Game 2, and everything seemed to kind of stagnate from there. I did not think that they did after that point. Got them the same amount of the same amount of control as they had in Game 1. The Titans just got to play the waiting game, and then late game carries just come online.
Exactly, late game carries. And the Desk highlighted this. I think the fact that Soul could deal that damage from a range and that Cyclone Spin could effectively one-tap Hurrywind by the end of the game there. You drop an Odin Cage, Phantom or not, it's going to take a little bit of time to get out of that. You drop the ultimate if you're Paul there in the mid lane. You drop the ultimate if you're Cyclone Spin. Suddenly Hurrywind's just out of the fight in back-to-back team fights. And that's all it took for the Tartarus Titans to even up this set. We will go to Game 3 tied up. You gotta take a break. But before that, we'll see you right after this.
Oh, barely missed it.
war dabbing to find him. He looked he said, I'm going to be on that stage next year. I'm going to become a world champion.
Oh, come on.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Concerned, they have been running some gods that I think could be opposed pretty heavily by the Dragon. It's also just one of those instances where I think it does kind of free up the pick bans as well, just in terms of if you're going to be in this first pick position, well, now the Jade Dragons have to make an even bigger decision, I think, in terms of who they ban initially in comparison to the Titans, where because of that Cabrakan ban, I don't want to call it a throwaway ban by any means, but it's just something very strong is more likely to get let through if you're going to expend a ban onto a Cabrakan.
And Soul, which they just played, which the Jade Dragons clearly don't value that high, gets banned away as
Oh,
well.
come on.
The Titans are playing like 6 C-chess. I can't even comprehend where they're coming from.
The only thing I can think is that they're planning on picking this Hell very early.
Sure.
Because that Cabrakan plays very well into the Hell. They ban the Soul, which is something that matches Hell's pressure.
Yeah. There it is, Big Hell. Umoja open, by the way. So they leave the Umoja on the table. They leave Osiris on the table. Kind of as expected there, I suppose. And give up the Hell, or take the Hell, I should say. The Dragons here, this has got to be Umoja Osiris, right? Like,
100%.
no reason to trade for that.
You don't want to leave the Osiris through for another phase because of how good it is against the Hell and how, like, pretty good it is against the Umoja also. So I think you just guarantee the Osiris here, and then you have a good, easy setup comp against this Hell and good dive against her.
Yeah, I like it for here for the Dragons.
Gilgamesh is also still up for grabs, though, for the Titans, and I do think that there is some value here, a little bit more so even for the Gilgamesh in comparison to the Osiris, because you have to assume the Dragons are going to want that Osiris for themselves, and if Turtle Titans choose to respond with Gilgamesh, I think that wins the Shabash would be great, actually, at kind of preventing that Osiris from having a really strong collapse on this Hell with that River's Rebuke.
Worth noting that been picked 4 times so far today. Osiris 0-4. You know, not picked twice I think by the Warriors. Tough matchup, but still worth noting. 0-2 in this series so far as well. Erlong Shen was banned by the Titans in game number 2, piloted by Sam in game number 1. Picked the exact same spot that Sam did for the Dragons in game 1. Now Layer's hands for game number 3. Erlong, good, but not so much against Emoji.
I think it's just got to be, they are heavily prioritizing this 2v2.
Yeah.
Every single game, each 2v2 has either been strong or just at least to try to avoid the fight like the Canva and Tia was. So I think at this point, a little meta has came about that if you don't win this 2v2, you think you are at a massive disadvantage. You'll be seeing this Hell, Erlang, Osiris picked early for that 2v2.
And it's good 2v2. Hell, Erlong Shen, very, very strong. We'll see if that can change the way that has gone in the early stages so far in this set, because like I mentioned, the Dragons have gotten a kill at level 2 or level 3 in both games now through the first 2. So it's Kepri banned by the Jade Dragons. Makes sense. That was a pick that ended up playing very, very well for Aurora last time around. Now you're looking at mid laners, because Irwin Tell, that was his pick the last 2 games, taken away this time by Paul. Morgan Le Fay, Giannis still on the table. Have to imagine that's what the Titans are going to go in this lane, if they're looking to ban them.
I think the Janus may not even get picked because of how weak his 2v2 actually is. They might look to go elsewhere, somewhere that can actually fight in that 2v2 or maybe get onto the hell in that mid game. I don't know exactly what Hurry's god pool is after most of these gods are gone and then Janus, but like something like a Zhong, if it's something he plays, actually can fight in that 2v2 pretty decently and dive the hell late.
I'm actually starting to wonder if Gilgamesh is going to concern between the two teams, because as far as Sam Soccer is concerned, I mean, you can see the Osiris, you can see the Erlong. I'm definitely anticipating that we're going to see a lot more prevalence placed into this Erlong Shen moving forward. Poseidon, however, is a really interesting pickup here, because you have the Whirlpool, which I think can be useful against the likes of an Erlong, a Rom. Hell, you know, kind of hit or miss, because she has that ability to get out before the Triple never has a chance to fly, but Kraken is just such a fickle ultimate to fight around.
It is. Feast and famine. The only two options. You either get a big one or you feel like you didn't get much value out of it. But among Poseidon players, Herwind one of the most stored in the league. And very, very comfortable on that pick. I kind of like it here for the Dragon. Give me some of that self-control. His level 2 is crazy in comparison to a lot of other mages, whether you want to wave clear or fight. And hell can heal unless I one-shot her with a Kraken. It puts pressure on her to have to go beat Van Aegis. I kind of like the pick.
I mean, a lot of the Titans comp struggles against the Poseidon. Rama can't really roll out of it, he can't get up into the air, so you're almost always forcing Aegis if you can get onto him. Same with Fenrir, he's not really going to be doing much other than being able to ult the Kraken. Serb, like another one, he's going to have to end up ulting it and take the stun after, because he won't be able to use his movement speed to get out of it, or his movement ability to get out of it. That Poseidon pick might be a really good pick because that 2v2 also is super strong.
I like it. Serket now, you want to talk about strong 2v2. Serket, very, very good at that, brings that lockdown. I think I'm a little bit worried now seeing this Osiris in solo in Serket in the jungle, even though it's Assassin versus Warrior, Osiris certainly the much higher damage output. Are you guys at all worried about the damage output? Because it isn't easy to confirm damage.
I mean, Hell isn't really like that hard of a god to kill if you can mitigate that anti-heal. So I think the Serket Osiris should be enough damage. You also have the Emojisol you can't really avoid. I do think it's maybe a little bit of a problem when it comes to late game, and Hell probably got a defense item like that Mantle, and then maybe a little bit of health somewhere else. But no, I think the Serket's a great pick. You would have seen it in the other game, kind of picking, but players doesn't play that pick, and Aurora doesn't play that pick either. So I think Serket is something that people should have looked for more against this Hell, but I think this is the first opportunity that it can actually be played.
The Titans just continue to stick with the theory craft of we're just going to look for outright burst damage before we have an opportunity to look for the setup prior to. And that's one of the things about Fenrir versus Serket. I mean, you have the Brutalize kind of follow that made, but I'm really just interested to see what Hurricane ends up doing with Poseidon in the mid-early game.
A critical game 3, a do or die almost. I mean, certainly going down and needing a 2-game-in-a-row victory in order to do set. It's not where you want to be. We got Dalton and Gormizer working on a brand new handshake to bring you game number 3. Yeah, I don't know if it's brand new. It's brand new to us, but it's a storied handshake. We did the old over the top, and then you wrap back down and go underneath, and it took us about 4 tries, and I don't even know if we got it all. We got it on the 4th time. We did get it on the 4th time, and that's all that matters. 3rd time, we'll see the Tartar Titans and the Jade Dragons up against one another here today, and this one important, Gore, as far as turning the tides of momentum here in this set. Best of 5. Of course, remember, we will not end in this game, but potentially end in game 4. The Jade Dragons start off the first half of game 2, Gore, the exact same way they did game 1. Except the Titans dove on Hurrywin, and then dove on Hurrywin, and then dove on Hurrywin. And then the game was over, and the Tartarus Titans were able to turn around like a 7,000 gold lead. So you can't count this team out. And Hurrywin, tired of being dove on, doesn't necessarily draft more mobility for himself, but maybe something that can turn around some of that damage in this Poseidon.
Actually, I think it's interesting. So Poseidon, we don't see him a lot. If you're looking at this, first off, Vinci almost gets killed off right there, and that's good pressure for Finoke to start things off. Also, worth noting that Osiris is typically in the jungle in the solo lane, which is maybe something to come back to. But it is this Poseidon who, as you mentioned, maybe not super mobile, has some decent self-peel. He's only been played twice this year, so if you're looking at it and you're like, man, when have we seen Poseidon? It's not been a lot, so it makes sense to be excited for it. But one of those 2 games was Hurricane and the Dragons one. They won that game, so it is something that they have had in the back pocket and kind of had prepared mentally. I'm excited to see how it goes. Aggro had mentioned it on the desk, but I can't count the amount of times we've seen a great Poseidon pick where Krakens are on point, and then you miss that one, and that's the only one that matters, and the only one people will remember.
And I will say, from a caster standpoint, it's so much fun to watch this pick. I mean, I get even a viewer standpoint, but you see just a massive Kraken. It's such, your eyes are drawn to it.
Oh yeah.
In this game, players on another new pick here in this set. It's going to be Erlong Shen, and this is a pick we've already
Yeah, I
seen
just
final
had really
success.
bad positioning there.
One for Sam for Soccer, who is also pivoted here for a Circuit for
Hit
Sam.
myself
And
towards
if
the
the
front
story
of the
continues, there'll be a lot of early
Yeah.
pressure from Sam building up
I was
this
like,
lead.
that's a perfect moment because he couldn't go too
I think
far
it's
to the right.
going to be essential to them. I don't know if we're going to see Sam pick up the same amount of presence that he had on the Erlong early on. I think Circuit tends to lend itself a little bit more mid-late in the same presence, same setup style we saw in the Erlong. Although the Erlong, that setup style turned into, I'm taking these kills very, very fast, so maybe he'll be able to pick that up. And Circuit is a good god to do that with, but I think it matches that Erlong style pretty solidly. So I expect Sam to have a good game. I just don't know if it's going to be as obnoxiously good as that original Erlong game was for them. But I also think it's essential here. I mean, you've got anti-heal from the Osiris,
What
you've
the
got
fuck? My
anti-heal
game is like
now from
fucking up or
Sam,
something.
and that's going to
You're
be helpful
running-
versus
yeah, you're running
Paul
towards
trying
me.
to shut down and control this health.
Sam for Soccer taunts Layer.
I could've killed you, but-
something that Den talked about that you
Yeah, I could've killed you then,
strong,
but I
it's
didn't
also
because
strong
you
for
said
the
that.
Titans. And how many times have we seen a hell at the forefront of First Blood
That was
here in
fucking
this set?
weird.
Where I'd argue
I was
all
like
three
back by the Titan, like I was doing my
First Blood on the
my
Hell
motion
It worked from the fact
to
that Paul has
throw
the
my
exact
little
same
things,
gamer pose
Yeah.
every time we
but
see
like
him.
no,
That one that you see in the bottom left, I would imagine he'd
but
be
no
laughing
sound was
and
coming
saying
out.
that's how it
Oh,
feels.
dang.
Because that is 2 games in a row that Hurry has been in that position, dealing all that damage. And this time around, Paul just, yeah, hell yeah, she still deals a lot of damage. And Poseidon doesn't have a lot to escape.
And it's Hell plus Erlong Shen.
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
not-
what Hurry Win and Sam for Soccer did in game 1.
Maybe it's layers.
What the
he's
fuck?
laughing.
How's your
Haha, that's
Titan
what
getting so much health?
Effectively on cooldown in game 1. And now Hurry wins.
So much health. What do you mean?
Yeah,
Well,
like
on the
we
track,
did like a
that's what this
25%
lane
damage to
turnaround
maybe even
is.
30, and he's already at like full
You
health.
can turn around a lot of damage and a lot of that engage once you get level 5 here for Hurry Win. So, not all said and done by any means in the mid lane just yet. But
It's like
it
we
is
did
something
no
that
damage
Hurry
to him
Win's
at all.
Mobile here has got to be concerned about. Sam for Soccer on this Erlong Shen as well in game 1 hit some big taunts that game, setting up for the rest of the team. And I think Layers, we talked
You had
a
him
lot
down a
about
quarter, you said?
what went right for the
Yeah, I had
Titans
him
at
done
the
like
end of the
30,
game
like
to bring them
30
back to that game.
damage.
Such
Like even
deficit
like
count.
a little
Everyone piling
engagement,
on
I
Hurry
did like even like
that Ratatoskr was
15%, and like he just gained his level up.
You talked about the snipes from Cyclone that hit on the ROM.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Damage from Paul that hit with the Soul Ultimate. Layers kind of had free dunk in the back line as well on the Ratatoskr. So Layers, I think, had a great turnaround performance later on in game 2. And the tug of war in the jungle now continues with Layers off to a good start.
And I'm going to be watching again with bated breath because I think the jungles right now are the ones that are going to really guide this game. I think in game 1 we got to see that a lot from Sam specifically. Game 2 we saw a little bit from Sam, and then we started to see that pivot away. He didn't have the same control, and that inevitably led to him not being able to get and amass as much of a lead as they could have. Yes, the gold was massively in their favor, but the map state didn't really start swinging in their favor. So I think that watching Sam, watching players, the problem is that Aurora and Mike are also the ones who have been kind of stamping their names on this. And that Fenrir is scary.
Yep, he is. Aurora has Ragnarok, Hurrywin has beads. So can Aurora strip away a set of beads? Yes, Hurrywin just used them. But Aurora still has the ultimate. Kraken used by Hurrywin up in the sky. Taunt back from Layers, won't connect on his aim for Soccer, but Aurora gets it done. All on his own in the back, and Hurrywin down for the second time in game 3.
And they did pretty much everything that you could
Oh
to
my
stop
God.
Aurora there. The beads came out a little too early. That's 2 times in 2 days now. If you were watching the SEC yesterday, I believe we saw that
My
happen as well. Where it's just
headset's about to
a little
die.
bit of patience
I'm gonna go plug
goes
it
a
in
long
fast.
way on a
I have
Fenrir.
20 I have like
Sometimes
20
you don't want to
seconds
click
to
down
build up.
immediately,
Alright.
wait for them to pop their beads, and then pick them up right afterwards. Then a great reverse rebuke from Mike as well to block him off to make sure that he's walled away. And it still wasn't enough to separate it. Or, much like you said, just kind of, I get Thanos being fine, I'll do it myself.
Do it myself.
And gets it done.
Aurora's got Sledge early on. This has been the popular item pickup.
Holy crap.
With Fenrir support. And that feels good, right? Because, you know, early on, depending on how you want to itemize on supports, you feel probably like you're lacking a little bit of damage.
Yeah.
But Aurora is
Not on Fenrir.
not on Fenrir, right? You're kind of a pseudo-warrior at this point in the game. If you're able to jump on Hurrywind on cooldown, who doesn't have beads for a minute and a half, Aurora does have beads. And so return ganks, you know, the potential at an all-time high here. If you continue to pile on Hurrywind on this global side of the mid lane, that is the avenue for the Tartarus Titans score, maybe, to keep this pace going in game 3.
And builds are really where I'm keeping my eyes, not just the Sledge and watching where Aurora goes, which feels like it looks like it's going to be the Thieves next. But also Paul has gone for the Storm as well as Hurry.
Or maybe it's Polar Bear Mike that's going to get jumped on this time in the Lion's Den, and Polar Bear Mike will not escape, and it's layers on the board now, and the Erlong Shen finally gets his just desserts. 101 for layers, 102 for Paul, who's been a part of every single kill. I wonder if we're going to see a hell-less game at any point here in this set core. Both teams want it because it's been looking good despite a loss for the Jade Dragons in game.
Well, it's actually, and this is weird, you don't typically do this during the cast where I talk about the pick ban strategy, but banning out like a bracket, whatever it is the Dragons have for it, has been beneficial to them because now you get to first pick as hell. I think the Titans played this really well.
They did. The Titans are going to get the Gold Fury. It's a page out of the Jade Dragons playbook. At this point, you know, that's a good smite. You get a kill on left, you get pressure, you're going to take down the Gold Fury, but it's something, of course, the Jade Dragons like to do, but the Tartarus Titans, being a good smite team, are going to play that same play style as well. So an early Gold Fury to the Tartarus Titans, an early gold lead to the Tartarus Titans to the tune of about 2.4k. There's something about 1,000 gold leads like 8 minutes into the game.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
And so we've seen one team capitalize on that. That's the Jade Dragons in game 1. We've seen one team capitalize on that and then lose. That's the Jade Dragons in game 2. And now it's the Titans with a bit of a different look, an early game lead. Yeah, feeling comfortable with the way things are going. I think worth talking about, though, Gore, there's been a lot of early objectives secure in the Gold Fury and the Pyromancer department without huge steal potential. Hurrywind with this Kraken, of course, could disrupt a team fight, but if at any point we see a contested objective, you gotta look at that Kraken for what's gonna secure it.
Yeah, I mean, Kraken and then what's next on the list? Realistically, the Cyclone Spin? Like the snipes, maybe? To at least for steal potential. I don't even know if I would throw that in for a secure. Like, the snipes elsewhere. Much like
Oh my god! Oh my god! Frack!
I mean, it feels like it's going to be good for Cyclone Spin as long as they can keep up this pace. And I see no reason why they need to slow down, really. This is the first time. I mean, we've got collectively maybe 10 minutes total of the Titans being in the lead so far this set.
You're right.
And so I think this is a good showcase for them. It's just whether or not they can keep that pressure up. Pyromancer comes on in a few seconds.
What happens to layers here? Sam Soccer blinks
Oh,
on
come
him,
on,
sends
go
right back,
immune,
and
go
Layers walks
immune.
away.
What are you
Great
doing?
Rivers rebuke from Poor Bear Mike, but Layers sends out the taunt. Will the heal come out in time? No, it won't.
Why
Sam
didn't
Soccer
he go immune?
gets the Jade Dragons on the board early.
Immune.
Now for an answer back
What do you
to
mean?
Roar.
Dude, your
To
text,
the
my
underneath
Phoenix
the
came
tower,
back
Phoenix
up.
has rotated on through to the 1v1 on the left side of the map, and the Jade Dragons with a 1-2
This game
punch
is
spin
stupid.
left.
Hey, Handicap just get the solo kill. He just kind of drops it.
I thought I was gonna get whooped from well. I mean, most hunters, especially against mages, you kind of have to level up a little bit to be able to. You can't really out trade, especially like Kukulkan. You're just doing so much damn damage to me at the beginning.
Yeah.
But also a good solo kill. I think it is necessary for Pandacat to have a good game early on, because Cyclone Spin, especially with those snipes late game, can really eclipse the Dance of Burma.
Let's see.
Now that
So
lane, it's difficult
if you
to
pull
cycle
up the
spin
YouTube,
of course, there are some lanes, Gore, where you talk
I'm
about
gonna go to
1v1 potential, all that
videos.
sort
Wait,
of
what
stuff.
the heck is going on?
Ultimately, you can play safe. Donna's not going to let you do that. If Handicap sends it's an opening, that rocket is just going to ride right on in. You almost don't have a choice but to try to take that 1v1 cycle spin out of your speeds and the ultimate rocket. And I imagine we're going to get a look at that here.
This is what you get to do. I mean,
Oh, I know why.
What's that?
I want to say like forward. You just go in.
You think it's because I had got a bull demon?
Bull Demon? No, no.
But you also have
Let's
to,
see.
like, I'm gonna give
'Cause I had
credit
Bull
to a lot of
Demon.
hunters here.
Yeah,
Hitting for
you
autos,
got Bull
like
Demon.
that,
I saw
where
that.
all it takes is
But
one
that
miss, and that's a
the
drop
thing I'm
kill.
talking about
So
is
now
on
it's gonna
let's
for
see.
making sure that he locks that one down. Otherwise, Cyclone Spin is none the wiser.
Right, and Cyclone Spin had ultimate, wasn't able to use it. So if PandaCat drops the ball on a couple auto attacks there, Cyclone's been able to get up into the ult. Maybe Cyclone's been turned.
So if you look into the match at like 12:30 sorta.
This time with the DOT from Sanford Soccer will clean up that kill. What can Aurora? What can
So like you have to get into the Kuklan and Shinruno's match and then go into like 12:30.
Who picks it up? Sanford Soccer trying to lead. Boy, watch out! Bracket doesn't do much to layers.
Back, it feels like it's a
Yeah, like he's back at 8,000 again.
What the fight?
Great members review from Forbear Mike to keep the Titans.
And then I summon my thing on him at 7,768 damage and he's back at 8,000.
He's here as well. It started off great for the Dragons, but it's going to end in disaster.
I mean, what a turnaround. And look, Aurora just gets to hang out in the jungle more than happy for that to go the way that it did. I mean, yeah, unfortunate. Cyclone's
Okay,
right?
12:30.
I can't even remember the Titans. Did not look better than the way they turned that around.
It's after 12:30?
Yeah, yeah.
2 in a row now I've watched from Curry with the last one.
I think
Okay, you did a little bit of damage.
Not anybody else here. It feels like it does nothing against players. We get on the very side of it, if anything. I think we got to see those Krakens turn up.
You're 3 levels down.
We got a little bit of damage.
Level 11. So is Sanford Soccer, but jungle, that's pretty standard right now. Layer's only 1 level ahead. Paul is at 304 on the hell. 3 levels ahead.
Yeah, so it's actually going to be in the 13-minute mark.
You know, it's Hurry wins the
it's
ball.
Okay, I'm at 13:11.
Alright, just watch it from there.
But Hurry wins just getting jumped on, right? I mean,
Every single
there's only so much that you can do. And that's not me trying to bail out Hurry win. I just think the Congress Titans have chosen Poseidon as their target. And they've capitalized on it. They've kept Hurry win behind.
I was like,
Carol's point now there, but
like I was doing my.
we've already mentioned the lack of damage that we've seen. Layers barely took any. Paul was able to heal up more than I think the Kraken.
like no.
And so now it's scale time. It's scale time,
Okay,
baby. Give us
so
time and we'll climb. That's what the
a little
Jade
bit
Dragons are
down.
thinking. But it's going to take a little while to get.
That's the key for a lot of this. But I can tell. I like Cerberus. I like Erlong. I like Robley. Hell, I was going to say it's one of those things where you have to just figure out your fights. And like you said, good scaling
We're
with
down to
Dragons.
like 72 something.
Like you're starting to look at gold deficits, 4,000 in the favor of the Titans. They're going to have to start planning much more smart in games, not just trying to go and find a pick. You collapse it on Cyclones, then when he's alone, and then all of a sudden you overcommit to this fight. You're diving in. There's 3 members of the Titans. Where'd they even come from? Right? It's those moments where I think the Dragons are going to have to select a little bit more cautiously when they go for this engage, because otherwise,
Like keep watching, or I don't even know.
Well, after like the 14-minute mark or whatever, it's like it's just like it looks like your Titan is just like healing itself really fast, and I don't know how it's doing that.
I think it's. I mean, you didn't really do that much damage to it, but the damage you were doing, I know they regenerate. Like if you don't have people attacking it or whatever.
Yeah, but don't the Titans usually regenerate after the Phoenix comes back up?
I don't know.
With that Kraken, it's so much more difficult for the Titans actually to try
Yeah, I'm not really too sure, to be honest. I've honestly never paid attention. As far as that goes, I mean, I don't know.
I was just like, the damage should have just stayed there, so I don't know why your Titan was like gaining health. But
Maybe it does degenerate, like when nobody's hitting it. I don't know.
it shouldn't be that fast, though.
I have no idea. I mean, you weren't really doing that much damage to it, really. You were more focusing on me.
At least burns the beat.
PandaCat's doing a lot of work here. PandaCat is 2 levels up over Cyclone Spin going into this fight. So bad and 1 lane for the Jade Dragons. Great. On another side of the map, can PandaCat get involved? Can PandaCat carry a lot of the weight here? Aurora's alone.
Alright, what's the next one?
The River's Rebuke will separate out this fight. Kraken gone. Kraken gets nothing for the Jade Dragons, and the Tartarus Titans don't want to jump in just yet. Instead, it's Benji being taunted back.
They're going to get the slowdown, but you can see not a lot of commitment from the Dragons. They do burn a lot of ults. If that River's Rebuke locks down Aurora, that's a kill, and the Dragons are starting to run forward. That's great play for the Titans to get out there, but they're still aggressing onto the Primal.
No Kraken, so steal potential.
Let's see. 39, 78. Okay. So you are going to be Agni.
Ugh.
I thought you liked Agni.
He's okay, I just can't play him well.
Okay, I am. I am Hebo.
Well, that'll be fun.
I think this one might be a good one.
Here as of late.
And I think the Jade Dragons might actually lose this match today. Or might have lost this match today.
Difficult team to turn around the game on. But in the same way we gave Titans credit in game 2, and the potential for that game turning around, you have to talk about the
I think the Jade Dragons might actually lose their or might have lost their match today.
Mainly Yamoja comes into me. I think Serket's going to be solid.
They're tied at 1 game apiece in best of 5 because it's the playoffs, but they're losing the second game.
Tartarus Titans can do this quickly. There's virtually no steal potential from the Jade Dragons. And yeah, the Tartarus Titans are doing this one quickly. The Fire Giant lets out a roar, and only the Jade Dragons are the ones outside of the pit to hear it. Tartarus Titans get it cleanly. 18 minutes in for these two teams. They have filled up the gas tanks with something fierce today. We are going quickly. We got a 15-minute Fire Giant earlier. We got sub 20 minutes in game 2, and an 18-minute FG for the Titans in game 3.
This is one of those games, I've been talking about this set a lot, like we did it in waiting room, just kind of preparing for it, where realistically, if you expect the Dragons to win, most of their wins as of late, you're expecting a 20 to 25-minute game where they're in control 5 minutes in, and they control it for the next 20. But when you're looking at the Titans, they're not just the team that is willing to go the distance and go long in the game, but, I mean, you can tell me that this game goes 40, and if I have to hedge my bets, I'm going to lean towards the Titans winning it. I think they are really, really adept, and they've done a great job at translating whatever playstyle they had before, and of course all their tenure, save for layers on this team. Every single one of these players has been around for years. They've done a great job of turning that into some great late game team fights. And I think that if they can keep up this pace, 7,000 gold, pressuring onto tier 2s, the Dragons are definitely in a much more precarious situation. And they are going to have to stay grouped. I mean, last time they really just got caught with their pants down around the FG.
Lots of gold still for the Tartarus Titans. They take up. Draugr buff for the Dragons. Yay, that'll help out. Maybe a little bit. But Paul is going to be so difficult to kill at this point, not only with the healing, but Breastplate of Valor with the new morph and a Soul Reaper on either side of that build for some damage. With the artifact a bit later on. You're going to have to dive onto this hell and then some.
He also, hasn't died, so dive onto this hell and then some. Get him out of there. Last time around, that's what helped the Titans beat the Dragons. Hurrywind was dying instantly. The fight started, Hurrywind's dead. Fight started, Hurrywind's dead. That's 3 times, and who's going to do it? Big Panda? No, you're not going to use Danza to dive all 5 of them. You don't have a Ratatosker, you don't have the Rom snipes. And I don't know if they actually have the capabilities to deal with all.
And Hurrywin,
look at that! Oh my god!
Gets the treatment again, gets the snipes again, and then Aurora walks on in, picks up Hurrywin, who had to use speeds, and Aegis waits from the timeout, and Aurora took 0 damage on his way into that one. All of the range and the ability to take the mid laner out of the fight is the Tartarus Titans, and they are making it work. Thor Bear Mike will use the
Tartarus Titans fighting the Dragons?
Bit, but who cares?
Yeah.
Says the Tartarus Titans. Draugr buff wearing off here, maybe shortly, but I don't think it's delaying the Tartarus Titans all that much. Mid lane Phoenix gone. Hurrywin 0-4.
It's just, look, you hedge your bets, and I don't know that the bets are paying off here for the Dragons as of right now. But that's where things get interesting, Dave. A minute left for this Fire Giant. They knock down a Phoenix, it's mid-Phoenix. Guess what? Mid-Phoenix, pretty easy to clear. Still rotate into a Fire Giant fight. Gold lead, especially with the Gold Fury spawning, it's going to take another step over towards the Titans, even further in their favor. And you can see a lot of that disparity. Survivability in the mid lane maybe is the biggest key for Test on Hurry versus none on Paul.
Oh my god, oh! I was so close to missing that one, oh my god. I would have been super pissed off.
And it's because none of them
You actually should have
there.
missed
Irwin
that.
had just back to base. They had PBM and I think FineOK who saw it. And not much you can do from that position. This next one is going to come off cooldown a minute and a half from now. And that's where I think they're going to be able to showcase a lot more strength. Dragons just have to be present for that Fire Giant. And that's immediately a step up. But then you also have Kraken available to Sam to engage. It's not a sure thing for them. They still have to deal with Hell Healing, Rom Snipes, good engage from Aurora and Vinci. But I do think it gives them a lot more credit and a lot more merit to stay in this game.
Rom Snipes, I think, pretty key there, Gore. Now in back-to-back games, Cyclone Spin has hit effectively every single one on the Hurry Wind.
That was like 30.
Range conversation where, sure, if Hurry Wind can delete Paul, it's great, but he's got to walk forward to do that. You don't want to walk forward into anyone, right? In the same way that it felt like Paul on the Soul could range damage from a little bit further out. So those little nuances definitely make life more difficult for Hurry Wind here, but I do circle back to Cyclone Spin and the way that these snipes have been connecting now in back-to-back games, where of course in the team fight, the Ramus looks good. But it hasn't been it hasn't been the Hunter style of play with the auto attacks. It's been one tapping Hurry Wind with your ultimate and then winning the 5v4.
And you were asking about this, and I wonder, like, if the Deaths will touch on this as well, but, you know, how do you deal, like, will we see a Hellless game? And honestly, I'm not as worried about the Hell. I think the Hell is a problem, but so far the Hell hasn't been the like, pinpoint, hey, that's what we need to stop. I think I would ban away this ROM if I get the opportunity to try to control Cyclone Spin a little bit, because look, Hurry's not on Hell this time. He's not getting it done the same way.
Yeah, Fire Giant's going to go down here for the Tartar Sites. You know what's funny? Cyclone Spin has the least amount of damage in the game right now with 3,000. I think every bit of it is
all of it on Hurry.
I think all of it is from Cyclone Spin's ultimate on Hurry Wind, because Cyclone Spin uses the ult, deletes Hurry, and then by the time he crashes down, there's no one left to auto attack. Cyclone Spin has the least amount of damage into this game. But it's all that matters. Here he goes, up to the sky. I wonder who his target's going to be. It's the backline. Did not one-shot anyone this time. Hurry Wind gobbles up Aurora with the Kraken, and the J-Dragon shows signs of life. And FineOK presses down on the gas pedal with the Lord of the Afterlife. Cyclone Spin gets some auto attack damage in there, and FineOK ends up going down.
Went from 3,000 to now 5,300. Going to be able to get aggressive into this. You let him get into the auto attack range, it's going to look great, but now look, Players is going for the zone.
Oh, he's rolling forward. He is whittling down the health bar of Sanford Soccer and Forebear Mike. And the Tartarus Titans, they want more. They want game 2. They want to push us into a game 4 with a 1-game advantage. And the J-Dragons are just watching it happen. The Titan loses a little bit of health. Right side Phoenix still up. Looks like that might be what the Tartarus Titans came for.
I was a little worried for him. Mid-Phoenix is about to respawn as well. I think the Titans are going to pump the brakes, wait a little bit, 2 seconds before Aurora's even respawns, let alone before he can join the fight. FineOK has a little bit longer, but FineOK is going to spawn right there, 10 feet away from where the Titans are.
You can see Cyclone Spin trapped in the triple field, and that's where this ROM can get put down. Sanford Soccer blinks on and forces both of the actives out of Cyclone Spin, and the J-Dragons nearly get themselves a kill here, but it's right and mid-Phoenix gone, and 2 minutes and 15 seconds left on the FG power play. Let's send ourselves to left and move things on to game 4, say the Titans.
There are so many things that I can touch on after that fight. There's so many little things that are on cooldown right now that are worth mentioning, but I'm actually going to mention something not on cooldown. Look at Paul's relics. He is 4-0-6, did not use beads, did not use beads. Nobody is getting to this Hell, and that is going to be troublesome, to say the least, for the Dragons. I think it's just so difficult to get back there. We've already highlighted that, but if you aren't able to even get the beats, get the Aegis to force Paul to feel slightly uncomfortable, then it's going to help keep everybody else alive. We'll give credit to Heroin, though. Great Kraken that time around. Great way to pop Aurora. I think that slows the Titans down. Otherwise, they probably win in that engagement. So if you get one more like that, a good defense potentially around left might have to be under the Titans. this is going to be the end-all be-all, and you're missing a lot of safety relics on the side of the Dragon, so you have to be very careful and very picky about your end use.
Charon's coin into Soul Reaver for Hurrywind will help out with the frontliners who then the ones underneath, or I guess above, those Krakens more times than not. Midwave receiving the FG treatment right now is the Fire, or the Phoenix treatment rather, is the Fire Minions lock on, and right wave is going to be pushing up here swiftly, so the Tartarus Titan's playing with time. We've got 50 seconds left on the FG buff, but if the Jade Dragons can stall out this siege, things could get interesting later on.
I like the way that they're playing this round. Again, cautious. Irwin just got his beads back, so you're already feeling a little bit better. 20 seconds for Panda Cat to get their aim. That is the small things that are key right now, because the Dragons can't be put under pressure. Cyclone Smith still has 40 seconds before either of his relics are up, so there's a turnaround potential for the Dragons.
Benji's in the back. If he's on Hurrywind, Samper Soccer will peel out for his mid laner. The left side Phoenix, an afterthought, and now Layers will taunt in a couple. Panda Cat uses the rocket to get on out. It's Rivers Review as well from PBM. 3 ultimates down for the Dragons.
And the snipes just now used from Cyclone Smith did not connect the way that we've gotten used to. That's 2 fights in a row so far. I want to say seemingly 2 similar fights, although the Titans have knocked down all 3 Phoenixes at this point. They just need to fight the Titans.
Kraken is easily the most impactful ultimate that the Jade Dragons have left, and if the Titans go sieging, it's gotta be a big one from Hurrywind. The Titan is under attack. The Fire Minions have made their way in. Aurora is in as well, looking for a target with the Ragnarok. Hurrywind walks on the way, still has his feeds in the back line. Hurrywind watching along, but all the damage is there from the Tartarus Titans. Oh, on a rampage, the Titans now an afterthought. We go on to game 4 with the Titans ahead.
And you know what? Paul finally had to use his Aegis at the very end. Finally, there's some damage done to him. Well, maybe a little bit too late. That Hell is just so problematic. But even before that, I mean, Hell wasn't a problem while Cyclone's been hitting those snipes. It wasn't until those snipes were doing
that was dumb.
at the beginning of the fight that they started to hit. I think that we're going to start to see a pivot. The Titans don't need to
Not
change
very
much at all
smart
because they've been
indeed.
doing just well. That was a great game from them. The Dragons are going to have to change things around. The last couple of minutes looked a lot better from them. That first 10, 15 even, was maybe uncharacteristic.
Now we're maybe seeing like Taco pick this Tartarus Titans team to win the whole thing here in the Phase 2 playoffs. 1 game away from knocking your Phase 1 champion Jade Dragons out of the Phase 2 playoffs. Will we get there? Stick around and find out.
So if the Dragons lose, they're out of the SPL, or what happens after that?
No, this is just the Phase 2 playoffs.
Is there any teams that are knocked out yet, or they haven't gone to that phase yet?
The Scarabs and the Valkyries didn't make it to the Phase 2. The bottom 2 teams don't make it.
Oh, okay. So then
So
what's
those
after?
2 teams were already.
And then after that's championships, right? After like whoever's the top 2 in this last phase.
No. Well, this is just the Phase 2 playoffs.
So what's after phase 2?
Then they'll do Phase 3.
How many phases are there?
I think there's 3. I think the 3rd one is the last one.
Can we take a commercial break?
Oh, come on.
You should probably stick to arena.
What's for dinner? Ooh, burger.
What about tacos?
Barbecue. Pizza. I know. And I'm blending this color down all the way to the hollow. This is like unicorn magic play. Let me see your star. I like it.
I think we're really giving off twin vibes. It's giving something.
For me, creativity starts with what ifs. Like, what about my look? Meh. It's cool. Now, create what's true to you.
Level up the fun with the all-new Civic from Honda.
Oh, just one.
Jake from State
Like a
Farm.
good neighbor, stay over there.
Maya, everyone gets surprised with great rates with State Farm.
How can I ever repay you?
When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Upload and flash. Oh, helping protect your devices from threats. Think your internet do that?
Yes! So, you like Jay's?
Who?
You like Jay's?
No, not really.
Your team has destroyed a middle enemy Phoenix. Another smell? How wonderful. That wasn't very cash money of you.
Welcome back, everybody, to the desk. As Game 3 is a Tartarus Titans victory. An impressive performance from the squad. Hell for Paul turns out to be better than the Emojo. We figured out that question. Aggro, Inbound, and Taco to break it down. Is that simple? I mean, Hell that good.
Tacos there?
That Hell is looking unbeatable unless they just like completely make a mistake or just completely like play bad. That Hell actually seems almost unbeatable right now with how the game's being played.
She's on the desk.
domination
Oh,
of the
dang.
Titans ever since that turnaround in game number 2. For a little bit, it looks like the Jade Dragons might be able to get back into it, but Whirlwind on this Poseidon did not look particularly good, and that's exactly what the Jade Dragons couldn't afford to have happen. This early beads, Aurora wakes that out perfectly. Titans playing really well right now, Taco.
The Titans have definitely cleaned things up a bit since that game 1 performance, but I think that this really all comes back to the same sort of conversation that we've been having throughout each of these desk segments, especially around those picks and bans. That 2v2 fight, it's not even so much about the team fight between these two teams. It really just feels as if whichever mid jungle gets off to a hot start, that's going to be what dictates the remainder of the game from that point forward. And I think even the first clip that we saw was a number 4 call just demolishing Hurry with some incredible burst damage out of the hell.
Cyclone Spin got soloed in this game, but didn't seem to matter too much. That was Panda Cat's only kill.
Yeah.
Cyclone in those team fights.
Finally, my first
seems
one.
like that one in a while.
Only 11,000 damage for Hurry on this Poseidon in comparison.
Because weren't we really close?
Oh yeah, 18,000 players.
Was it really close?
That's like taking
No, weren't we really close, like, there for a while on the thing?
Yeah.
Not this match.
Is that good?
Like, we went up to like 11-11 at one point.
Thinking, how about no more health?
Yeah.
She has one.
Winning that one
2v2
puts you with you're
all
within
three
10 now. It's
from this
25 to
set.
15.
I don't remember exactly from the last set, but she has won the 2v2s.
Yeah,
that is what
like
these
I
games
even
are
lost
played around.
against our
And
with
the hell,
Zed.
it is
So
too much
it's
pressure,
like,
too much 2v2, too much
Yeah.
late game, too much basically everything. I think you just gotta start banning.
I mean, that leaves open
I'll
Tiamat
do
or
one
Raijin
more.
for Paul, but
okay.
I'm at the point where I'm thinking, like, how much worse is that than the hell?
What's the role?
Kevin. Ooh, you got Hu Yi.
Great.
And I am. Ooh. I thought it was gonna be Neath, but it's Nija.
Asia. Well, this one should be an interesting one.
No, I think you're probably gonna smoke me on this one. I would say anyway. Not Nija can be good in duels, but I don't think against the Hunter though. Maybe a shitty Hunter, but not Hu Yi.
Stronger here yet?
Don't you
But,
mean
no.
Tsukuyomi?
Tsukuyomi's an assassin.
Oh, just give it a sec. Don't you mean Tsukuyomi?
Moon's groom. Is that who he's supposed to be or what?
Yeah. Tsukuyomi is the god moon.
They threw, but however they were looking.
Heavily lose that.
I'm actually concerned that we might see Paul even utilizing this Pele against the Jade Dragons and just taking that for himself with that change in transformation. And when you look at what the Jade Dragons have opted for, Pele's ultimate would be fantastic in terms of diving a Tiamat alongside a Furlong or a Cyrus, and then you have the Kepri. A lot of single target focus as well is kind of reinforced here as a theme for the Jade Dragons, and what's Kepri's best. It negates the single target blow up.
It's kind of like how like I think it's the Muslim Cup has like the Cthulhu skin.
Normally when a hunter
Is it a Muslim Cup that has that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
It's a little bit easier to
It's kind of like that.
that secondary dash through those tectonic plates, or you just sit inside of the ult. You don't even have to do anything yourself. And it kind of it just wastes so much time, and it would give a prime opportunity to the Charters Titans to basically answer back and get everybody in position.
What do you think? You going to a game 5, Bob?
You know, I think this Pele can actually work out really well because of how good it is at matching against Morgan. It's very hard for Morgan to get away and kind of just rush before Morgan can get in base or transform. I really do like this Jade draft. It feels like it's actually like well-rounded. There's stuff in every lane that you can play through. I think we might be going to a game 5. Taco?
If Sam plays like he did in game 1, this is going to game 5.
Can't wait to see it. Game 5 potentially on the line here. The Jade Dragons Phase 2 Dreams on the line. We'll see if they can bounce back. Tartarus Titans looking to eliminate the Dragons. We got Dave and Gore for game number 4. We are finally on set point here, and it's Tartarus Titans who got 2 games to get it done. Might only need 1 if the Tartarus Titans have it their way. Gore, talk about a top-to-bottom rebuild here for this Jade Dragons draft to get themselves Sanford Soccer on Taylor. Furry went on a totally different look pick-wise here in this team at. Final K on the Cabrakan, there's a lot to look at.
There is, I mean, this is maybe the most Dragons comp that I've seen the Dragons run in 3 weeks, maybe? Like, I mean, this fits them like a glove. But I am curious to see how it's going to translate into the game. Sam, I think as you had heard Bobby say there on the desk, is going to have a fun matchup, at least in Nepal. And that's where a lot of these points of contention have been. It's that 2v2 in mid, because that's in the first 30 seconds to a minute. That's where everybody seems to be fighting as of right now. Paul was the one kind of leading it. You got your wish, a hellish game that we're going to have to deal with. And then you have to start weighing Oregon versus Tiamat. They both have so many strengths and weaknesses. Erlong looked good for layers last time around. I mean, there's just so many little matchups here that I think could make or break this game. The Dragons are going to have to be the ones to step up.
He didn't do any damage with his little circle there. Final K was just wailing away on the ground. And this Cabrakan is going to be fun to watch here. Where Blink for Final K already got used here in this lane, used for Benji as well. So doesn't really, I think, matter in the active department. Aren't going to be seeing him fighting anywhere else on the map anytime soon. But I think build is going to be interesting to follow along with, and I'll return to that in we saw Glass there. But build for Final K, I think, is going to be interesting here.
Yeah.
Glass Cannon versus Bruiser versus full-on tank. You got a lot of lockdown, but you also have the ability to one-shot. Kraken's pretty versatile, I think.
And like one-up it and even say that I need it to not just have an interesting build, but even perform really well. Right? I mean, it's been banned by the Titans all 3 games up to this point. I think in the first ban in game number 1, it was one of the top 3 for this game, and then they banned it, and I believe they're bottom 2 there.
Yeah, this is just not a good matchup.
I want to see what Final Game has to offer, because the Dragons haven't gotten to play it. And I think there's a lot of open opportunities for them as well. They get the RDO on their side. Cat feels very clean for a frontline duo that'll be able to control and corral the Titans in a fight.
And Layers is back, or we're keeping kind of our focus on what is now happening on the right side of the map. Layers back on this Erlong Shen. A pick that has now looked good, not only in the hands of Sam in game 1, but the Layers there in game 3 looks good on the Erlong Shen. Layers absolutely stepping up to the plate here for this Titans team.
Yeah.
So far up against the Jade Dragons. That 2v2 Gore where the desk expressed a little concern, and that's where a lot of the fighting has been happening. We'll see if Layers chooses to push that advantage here. Bear Mike walks in, tries to steal away the purple buff, but unable to do so. Sanford Soccer trying to give Final K an easier time in lane here up against Benji, but won't end up mattering there for much. And I think worth talking about this ROM here, Gord, because Cyclone Spin, up until the end of the game in game 3, was doing 99% of the damage with the snipes. Got to a point where the auto attacks were finally starting to hit there as well. I think a strong pick here for Panda Cat to get that ROM away from Cyclone.
I mean, good snipes, especially again onto Paul, onto Cyclone, onto even Layers late game, is enough to just keep them out of the engagement. That's what we saw Cyclone do the last few times. Typically, I'm going to harken over to the Kings with what Netroid likes to do. He's played a lot of this ROM over the last few weeks. But I'm more interested in the else on the other side right now. It's going to be Cyclone Spin, because that capability to just insta-join a fight anywhere on the map is usually what helps that turnabout get aggressive early on and really
so gay,
start to
Kevin.
pull a carry. It's just gets to be involved.
No, what are you talking about?
It doesn't miss out on too much farm in the process. So I think Panda Cat late game is rightfully looking in for the Dragons. I think Cyclone Spin for a lot of this game, especially with the 6 over 5, is going to be someone that's actually see if he can get as good a grip on this game as he has in the last 2.
Yeah, decision making is going to be important for Panda Cat here. Of course, you can rotate in and help out fights quickly with the snipes. You don't need to get an auto attack range. But as far as countering out split push, things like that, that's where Cyclone Spin is going to have a big advantage. Aurora back on this Kepri here, Gore, and we've seen now.
What did I do, Mr. Pat?
From Kepri, not only
Huh?
What did I do?
Said already.
What do you mean?
Kind of across the league.
You said I was gay.
Scarab's
What did I do?
You
Oh.
talked about
Because you're all hiding.
I'm not hiding, I was sneaky snake.
You're doing that in the other match too. But then I could see you like through the walls in that other one, so I was just kind of checking you out.
I couldn't see you through the wall, so I was like, yeah, maybe a ward could be useful here.
No, I didn't have a ward. I think it's because my minions were watching you.
Yeah, but like I said, I couldn't see you, so I was like,
And I actually like this.
I was trying to chase you, but like I saw you like in front, and then I saw you like in like behind it, but it was like only for like a glimpse.
And then killing again, it does help deal with the movement speed that ult can give you. But I also like that later on we got to see the pivot. It was actually in the right-hand lane. They all in on a roar. He ulted himself. And that was the last time he ulted himself. And that made him heal. Then later on, he got to start using that to revive his teammates. It is such a difficult ult to deal with. I mean, essentially they have 6 lives on the Titans that you're going to have to burn through.
Ooh, could be tough for Finote here. Rooted himself in place for the afterlife as well as the taunt from layers. Double stun won't mean much. Not when the minions are keeping you right where you are, and it's the Tartarus Titans and more specifically layers getting first blood yet again.
You know, this is the slowest first 5 minutes of all of these games so far.
Yeah, we're 2,000 gold in the lead one way or the other by this point.
I mean, and I was going to say, that is not a bad thing. These games have been
No, I think I should
wild
start using
for the first
Hulu
few
more
minutes.
in the
Dragons,
Hunter. I
especially
think I
in
found my
one
next
game,
Hunter I'm
early
gonna go
game
be.
was obnoxious amount of control. Same thing.
This guy's a
Titans
dick.
taking
Yeah,
up
he's
quite
pretty good.
level, but still good control. In that last
He's not my favorite hunter, but he's probably
like you said, good ton from layers. That showcases exactly the kind of
I
play
like him
that they're
more
going to
than
go for. And, I mean, look at the lineup that they
more
have.
than some.
Yep, scoops it away. And
He's like probably on my
you
top
can
half of
farm your
hunters.
way as well.
Oh, dang.
But you get a setup from layers for Paul, for Cyclone, and for Benji. And it just feels like it is going to be really easy to engage with Cyclone. He's phenomenal. They've got so much.
I want to know where Paul is going to start looking with some of these transformations as well.
Yeah.
Oftentimes in a Morrigan comp, and maybe there is an obvious transformation that I'm just missing. Oftentimes in a Morrigan comp, this is who I'm transforming in, whether it's Cthulhu, Odin, things like that. It's somewhat obvious. I don't know if that's the case here for Paul.
Imagine, so I laugh because I imagine turning into Khepri and having another Scarab blessing for your team, which would be very obnoxious. But I actually think, like, on your team, players as well as Osiris, if those are really good transformations, you might see the Ardio actually come through on the other side. I think the Dragons have a couple of good things from hell. Even Tiamat's not necessarily bad for them.
I don't think there's a lot of bad choices.
No, it's just, but like you said, there's not one standing above the other that's, haha, look at me, one great choice. And so I think Paul has a smorgasbord to just go forward with. And I'm excited to watch it because that's like, those are the huge turning points for a lot of Morgan games. The damage, the assassin style play is one thing, and Paul's going to be good at that. But I'm more excited to see how those transformations happen in the middle of a team fight. That changes everything.
And Gore, on the other side of the mid lane, and this is something I mentioned as we were getting into the game, talking about how the Dragons changed up their comp. This has got to be a turnaround performance, I think, for Hurrywin. You get arguably the best mage in the game right now. I don't even know if that's arguable. You know, Tiamat maybe inarguably the best mage at the moment. The side was an interesting pick. Didn't work out. There was too much range, too much dive in.
Oh, come on! You gotta be kidding me.
Build up that confidence, especially if you're
I should surrender for that, but
we're going 1-4.
Nope, too late. I did.
Get the house, but when you get all the money in your
wow, I can't believe you've done this.
I think it's got to show up there.
Yeah, honestly,
Hey, you won. Just be happy
all of
for
the
that.
things that can make you feel better. The minions to help
That's not the way I wanted. You know the way I wanted it.
Disengage, and you're nice and taking even
What?
enough to be able to get out of any of these bad
A
engagements.
clean sweep.
Here. Benji is plenty
Oh.
healthy.
Well, I got a
Finote
kill,
is
but
not.
I mean, you beat me pretty handily. Just be happy with that.
Just abandon this one, Benji.
I was getting tired of, because my ult wasn't killing you, and then you just ult on top of me whenever, as soon as I would get down, and if I didn't have Aegis, your ult just basically killed me right away every time.
And even if
And I knew you were holding your ult for whenever I would ult you, so really there was no use in, you know.
yeah, I think.
And I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough with Ninja to, like, I don't know, to come up with like something that would
Yeah,
Like I could be good with Nija in duels, but not against like a pretty good hunter. No way.
Early on in this lane. It
I
might
mean,
come
maybe
down
if you
to
build
something
like maybe
between
Mannequin
Wesker and Bill,
Scepter, and
although
then
I don't
after
think
that,
it's slowed down
or
massively already.
Bluestone, and then
Got the damage that you need
not like
early
Quinn
on.
No,
size, but like attack speed or something.
Much.
no, I was building Transcendence, which is one of the
Cyrus is someone who's
more
already
powerful as far as power goes
Yeah.
But I think
in
Fire
there.
King
That's out of
specifically, the
all the
walls that
items.
Fire King has can change any team fight.
You just have to get it online, but I got it online pretty quick.
Yeah.
You're gonna be there for the You're gonna be there for the Pyro.
Alright, so I
You should
think
be there
this.
for the Pyro
Okay,
Man.
so
Gold Spear's on the other
I was
side
just
now.
wondering if you're
Those
down
are
for
the
it.
ones
Maybe
that
we
the
switch
Final
characters.
Game.
You know, you be Hui, I be Nisha, just for the fun of it.
They're gonna stick as well.
I want to see if I
Rudy
could
Shield's great for him
beat
laning
you with,
against Final Game, but
or maybe even get a
target
kill.
who you're jumping on, you're gonna get some extra value out of the Rudy Shield.
I'm a little hungies.
Already
A little hungies.
A little hungies. I'm hungies for some kills.
yet again, there's Wink,
And I got a hunkering for a
That's
hunker.
what our Final K is back here. And he'll waltz on away back to the tier 1 tower.
Only if you want to.
Sanford Soccer's been quiet here in this early game.
Yeah,
Laura
it's
Layers has
like-
that one
yeah, it's
kill, that
not
first
that
blood,
big.
but things have really slowed down. So we don't know
But this
So
will
this
be
one
off
doesn't
the.
count on
when.
anything.
Yeah,
no.
this is off the record.
There was a lot of thought for one quick word. When is the word I'm going for. I was going to say how, a whole lot of choices there for me. When Sanford Soccer is going to start getting involved, I think is the next thing to look at here. Because there are some great targets. There's all in Cyclone Spins, kind of the instant delete options. Starting to get underway in that build here a little bit on this Pele.
I am ready.
So, one jungler's gotten involved early. Cyclone Spin's going to get involved around this time. Jumped on. Now down as support, but a taunt from Layers keeps this fight in question, and Layers has got Sanford Soccer as well.
Already fucking
Sam
whooping
gets
the
involved in all
dragon.
the wrong ways, and the Tartar Titans get
I don't know, I'll tell you what, the dragons better step it up, starting with the third phase and going forward.
More curious, and I want to say cautious about it when Benji goes for the leap, but he keeps the tether attached to Mike,
So,
finds his son, and is more than
So after the
tapped.
second
Except by
phase
Silver,
or whatever,
Mannequin's damage as well that's being dealt by Layers.
would
I
it
think
be
that
like
they-
any?
it's a
Would
fight
any
they engaged
teams
really
get
well,
like
and I was harp on them
knocked out
because
after the phase 2,
Yeah,
or
I
is
expect
everyone
Sam on
that's
Pele.
not?
I don't think so.
scared?
I think they just come back.
something in the mid lane.
Even the Scarabs and the Valkyries will be back for phase 3.
Okay.
They just didn't qualify for the phase 2 playoffs.
Yeah.
Was the first blood. A little bit of the gold lead didn't result in much. Now it's another couple phases, and we're starting to see some of, I think, the confidence that Benji is building up with here in this set. So Cyrus, through caution to the wind, jumped in, found another couple of assists there in that play. But look who else benefits. Cyclone Spin. The ult takes him in. One level down now because Mandicat was able to stick around, farm up the left side of this map. But a couple of extra assists. So everyone from the Tartar Titans getting some level of benefit. Much with Jade Dragon's able to regroup after a pause and take down Pyro. So not all is lost just yet. Just up 500 gold.
Actually, I like this maybe even more so just on the side of specifically the Dragons, because that's a big objective to be able to move up and specifically to stifle the Titans. You started a good fight, you caused a good fight, and you won that fight if you're the Titans. You didn't find anything afterwards. You didn't really find anything to further that lead, and that was a lot of the problem I had with the Dragons earlier on in game number 2. You had a 7,000 gold lead and weren't winning a lot of these neutral objectives. And now it's, well, still hovering around that 1,000 gold mark to separate these teams, but it's not massive experience. You got a couple of leads going for the Titans, a couple of leads going for the Dragons across the board. And so I think it is going to these groupings right now. We're looking at 3-on-3s that are really starting to occur. And that's where Sam gets involved. Layers have some really good taunts. We have to look at these junglers to make a difference.
Yep. I'm kind of chuckling at the player charts there, Gore. Benji's done everything. Benji! Has Benji done more damage? 2, 3, 4, 5. I was going to ask if Benji's done more damage than everyone else in the game combined. No. But it's not far off. It's close. The fact that we're even asking that question, I think, shows how much this is.
You know what, Benji? Smack Fido K a little bit more. Hold on.
Well, he's down to 7,000. Maybe a chance for Benji to get some more damage here as Cyclone's going to ultimate right side of the map. should be kind of, I think it needs to be a tier 1 tower now. Everyone under a little bit of pressure instead of putting pressure on Paul. But damage to this will end up being all for tier 1.
Makes me feel better. He's got more than the rest of his team combined. And more than, I believe, the Dragon combined here. So, hey, keep going, Benji. I mean, he hasn't been able to turn a lot of that into kills himself with 3 assists.
Wow, this is an effective trade. If the Dragons got that tier 2, they'd be doing
What is that all you were trying to see? Is if you could get a kill, or
I mean,
are you trying to win?
I mean, I got the kill, but now I'm trying to get the win now, so.
I think you're still happy with it.
So I think the Jade Dragons, you're right, are still feeling better about
I don't know. At this point, I'm just like.
That's always.
Well, I thought I'd be able to get a kill. I didn't think I wouldn't be able to get a kill on you, but then when I didn't, and you got like leveled up on me, I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna get a kill in this one.
And one of the biggest things that we had talked about early on, which was, in my eyes, going to be Cyclone's been his ability to rotate, hasn't really come to fruition. He doesn't have the ult now, so he's going to have to walk back to the old-fashioned.
Oh!
Ooh, so close.
A little bit of damage you see missing from that Erlong Shen so far. Doesn't end up finding much there. Maybe thinking that the rest of his team was about to round out and engage. Final Kid was lurking behind the Tartarus Titans, but does not end up.
If I would get a win.
To find a route behind the Tartarus Titans there. So
it'd be hard,
from
but.
the Jade Dragons, the tier 1 well, so effectively even. That lands the tier 1s and mid and left.
How could you burp on command like that? I only had enough gas for one.
The gold lead hasn't expanded out all that much.
And I'm drinking beer. Good. I should have known you were going to do that.
Who was it?
The Jade Dragons have hung around in all the right ways.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what you need to do in this kind of game. I mean, look at your composition, look at the other composition. Both of these, as you can see from the playstyle, don't want to fight right now. They want to wait for a lot of these groupings. And I'm excited to see how the Dragons coalesce. It's a team comp that, again, to me, it feels very Dragons-esque, but I can't see in my mind's eye how their team fight unfolds, whereas when I look at the Titans, you can see how that fight unfolds. You know more or less the way that they're going to try and stylize around it. So I'm excited to see what the Dragons have to offer, especially with an Oni Fury coming up. They've got a lot of pressure on the tower so far. They've knocked down one more than the Titans have been able to, and like you had mentioned, 80% damage on that tier 2. This is big.
Wow, the Tartar Titans do a lot of damage to the Oni Fury, but Aurora takes a lot of damage in exchange. Sam for Sakura, 3 levels down from layers, doesn't care. Rushes in, but Aurora takes almost nothing.
Oh, well, hello there, Kevin.
Well, hello there.
But does not do anything. It's a stun and it's a stagger on the Benji and layers. The Jade Dragons get some good damage in. Can Cat find the snake with his ultimate? Won't attempt it here because he's got to leave. Cyclone spin, attempting to root down Final K. Won't. Polar Bear Mike will be the sacrifice. The Jade Dragons, 4 alive, will get out.
Now, normally this is one of those circumstances. Let's say, oh well, the Dragons, they only lose their support. Except they lost the Fury too. They did not get a good engage the way they wanted to, and nobody's got healers this time around, and this is nowhere near the same state. I guess Aurora's passive taking through is helpful in terms of getting people through there, but they just did not have what they needed to get the kills. Cat might have been able to find the sites. So many people on the Titans were low, but they get 2 neutral objectives plus the kill, a good fight from them. I think that's a showcase. Sam wasn't able to do much in the backline. Nobody was.
And that was what I was bringing up as that fight broke out. 3 levels down. Sam Sakura is level 14, where Layers is 17. Layers is tied for top in the game. Sam Sakura is only higher than the support.
I'm pretty sure Sam had a lead 14 to 13 versus Layers earlier.
As we're talking about it, Sam goes 4 levels down. We'll call it 3.5 maybe. That is a huge difference.
I swear to you, well, no, never mind. It was 14 to 13 for Layers.
Look, Layers is 3-0-1, so it's not like we're scratching our heads wondering how that's happened.
A little bit.
It's just been we're scratching our head on like the last 2 levels of that. Like maybe a level or 2 makes sense, but then we're like, what's happened?
Like if Sam were 16 right now, I'm not confused about it. The fact that he just hit 15 is definitely. I mean, I'd maybe speaking more to what Layers is doing here and showcasing where his presence has been on the map, and more maybe so again the Cricket from Sam's side, he jumps into the back of that fight, and you had mentioned now it's highlighted, maybe makes it even easier. Who are you going to kill?
I can't believe I missed that.
You were 14 at the time. You're not going to be able to get enough damage out there on this character.
Yeah, Sanford Soccer, if the Tartarus Titans stick around on this Fire Giant's got to get something done, because now it's that 2,000 gold lead. It took us 20 minutes instead of 5 to get there. But that's been the inflection point in so many of these games, where that 2,000 gold lead gets hit, and then everything else goes that team's way for the rest of the game, except for
Your middle tower is under attack.
fumble. A bit of a lead there. Panicat has maintained about a 1-level lead over Cyclone. Setting for that. Has Rage in the back pocket. On the other side, Cyclone.
Oh, bless you.
Into Xe and Shin sides. So Riders that will be running in
welcome.
Cyclone
And I actually like that for the
I
Chernobyls.
missed it.
I mean, think about the way his game he does not use that. If he has layers, maybe call someone to help him out. For the most part, he's going to be looking for burn.
That's what that
Burn is
feels
what they're
like.
going to try to do here as well. I actually really like their engage. I like the way they're leveraging
the Fire Giant beneath half
Doesn't feel good, does it?
It does not, but you know, I had your tower already taken down at this point, so it kind of feels
He'll
good.
do one better. He'll do a lot of damage, but look at the big stun on
Let's go,
Big
Paul.
Dragon.
I know.
Jumping in. And
That
Paul
was
doing damage
money.
in there as well. Cyclone
The Shen
got
was really
the scare
nice.
blessing. The Jade Dragons will not give up. And the Cap's got the snipe to even the score.
But the kills, look how low PBN is. Benji's still running.
Oh, Benji not able to get the kill. It's a 2 for 2. Carries alive for the Tartarus Titans. Panda Cat alive and full HP for the Jade Dragons. This fight is easy.
A great set of snipes. If Panda Cat isn't able to connect on those, this is wildly different. In fact,
Ow, I was so
controlling
short.
the majority of the remainder of that fight, having layers still available to them. But really, really good engage. And let's call it from Paul, right? He transforms. We were curious about it earlier. Who are you going to choose? He chose fine, okay. That could bracket the great wall to lock down 2 members of the Dragons to make sure they couldn't run away. Still alive. He's got, had to use his beads as he gets and a lot in order to get those kills. But he's able to set up so much for his team that I think if the Titans can engage like that, despite the fact that the Dragons turned it around and kept it even, that's really promising for a lot of late game fights.
Yeah, effectively everyone Gore had to use both of their actives in that fight. Only Panda Cat didn't use either. Everyone else on the Jade Dragons used both.
Cyclone Spin with his sunglasses on, like, I don't need to use my beads.
Yeah, who needs to be? Panda Cat, fine, okay, Gore.
Oh, my minions back there.
Towards the Fire Giant right now. The Tartarus Titans on different sides of the map. Cyclone Spin does not have his ultimate. Sanford Soccer gets taunted in by layers here. Layers. Lots of damage connecting onto layers and CC in as well. Case used his ultimate. It's now missing. Layers has as well. 1 for 1 in the ultimate.
That was a very large flurry on layers for him to still end up at 2/3 HP. I think that's the biggest deal to me.
Not all that tanky in the middle.
Yeah, he hasn't really built anything to make sure he stays alive that well. But he's been able to do so no problem. And I think that's exactly where some of the worries I'm having about the Dragons are right now. Sam's still 3 levels down. And that's coming to mind with a lot of these fights. They're able to burn them down, or if they get good engagement like that, most times layers just die there. Good enough, the Dragons, a lot of these are slipping through their opportunity. But good news is that we're starting to hit that level 20 cap on the side of the Titans. So no matter what, you're going to close
come
the gap
on.
between them.
Tartarus Titans will take down the Primal Fury. The Tartarus Titans playing with
You
all
trying
the
to
wind
die again,
at their
Kevin?
backs. That same wind is acting as a cross breeze to the Jade Dragons.
No, you
right
would've
now,
died that
sending
time,
them a
guarantee
skew.
you.
They find themselves
I
3,000
guarantee you.
gold down to the Tartarus Titans in a must-win
I'm
game.
pretty sure I probably would have just killed you again.
Your
You would've.
prize
you
for
would've
winning
been.
this set towards the date with the
Yeah, you
Camelot
got
King.
I think that's a little
worst
wishful
prize.
thinking there,
Yeah,
buddy.
the way that he was playing.
But better yet,
That's
your
all I
prize,
need.
one step
Wishful
closer.
thinking.
Little wishful
Yeah, that's what
thinking.
really matters to us. Is one step closer to winning the phase playoffs.
Say that part, not the Kings part. It sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, right. One step closer to winning the phase 2 playoffs. Worry about how you get there a little bit later on. Tartarus Titans worrying about closing out this game here right now. I think you got to rewind to that previous fight, the 2v2, the 2-4-2, I guess.
Oh, you gotta be
And
fucking
how,
kidding me.
despite the
Oh my
fact
god.
you went
Just like that.
Just like
Amazing
that.
confidence boost that the Jade Dragons
That's
Don't
exactly
worry.
what would have happened on the other one.
I do think a lot of that, again, relies on the fact that you get a good engage from Paul. Like, how often is Paul going to get the
You're
chance
not
to
gonna
lock
win
down
this.
people?
Guaranteed.
So there's already a mood for the Dragons. Like, hey,
I bet my left nut on it.
Although Paul is pretty good. So
Mr. Pat, don't win. I bet my left nut on
He's
this.
probably gonna do it, but you're not entirely sure every time. It's the snipes from Panda Cat that really made the difference for me. That Rob being able to hit a lot
Don't
of
worry, I
from
won't
the
take your
backline,
left nut from
specifically
you.
onto carries and make sure that they weren't able to withstand
I knew you
the
wouldn't.
onslaught otherwise that the Dragons were having. They also had good shield from Mike, who managed to get out, then come back in, then get out again. I think that it, like you said, it's a lot of promise for this next fight. Relics are coming back up on cooldown. I think there were still like a couple of Aegises that were around 30 seconds maybe, or less to come back. So I think they're in a better position now to continue this fight. The gold lead's not that massive. It was hovering around 3,000. And the kill lead means virtually nothing at this point. It's all about the 5-on-5.
This is the Jade Dragons team for that. Regardless of where the gold is, they don't like just letting the game happen to them. They're going to show up to these. When the gold lead is as small as it is, right? 3,000 isn't small, but in the grand scheme of the potential gold leads is small, I guess, in the entire game is spent. But the Jade Dragons with that type of gold lead, not a team who's just going to let you take the fire, take the Gold Fury, take our towers, take our Phoenix. They will show up to these fights, and a lot of it relies on the same things that went right in the previous fight, going right again here, especially around this FG. 24 minutes in, so we're a little bit away from it being enhanced. A couple stacks on the Rage from Panda Cat after that fight as well. What caught your eye there?
Wards, more than anything. Like, look at all of the Dragon's ward coverage. There are so many purple wards, purple wards in the Sentry. I mean, this is really, really good vision control from them just for the FG pit. But I also think it's funny that when you look at it, the Tyrant Titans are sitting just outside the range of the one ward that's closest to them. I think this is a really good amount of control, specifically for Panda Cat, who is going to be looking for those snipes in the back. He's going to know exactly where everyone is, exactly what their health is when they do it, as well as for Sam to try and get engaged and kind of move around.
Oh my god.
It will also catch specifically players from getting to their back line.
You were saying?
So you were not gonna win.
For the Titans gameplay, the Pyromancer in their pocket, I actually think that, again, the Dragons are playing this at a really good game.
Okay, you won.
Right on the edge. I mean, they still got 5 towers somehow still standing.
You gotta kill at least.
Really good spot for control.
I got it faster than you. So that's all of that. That's one of the things I wanted to do. I also wanted to win.
Panda Cat showed Rage earlier on.
So it's a win-loss for me.
No, it's a loss for both of us. I lost the first one, you lost the second one. We each got one kill in the loss.
Oh yeah.
Like now, the crit from the Rage is just going to be...
I mean, you could say that you got a kill first, and I'll give you that. But then I could say I got a kill when you were up like 3 levels or some shit on me.
Yeah,
So I'd say that's probably about a push.
We
had some ups and downs on that one. That was a pretty good one though.
The front line. He's focused on the Cyclones, the Pauls, the Leias.
Going fast. Fire Giant is going down quickly.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Dragons are about to go down. That's because we won game and they're already out of the playoffs. Fucking Dragons. Alrighty, I'm getting off of here. I'm tired as fuck.
Alright, I'm sending you a gift.
Ooh, I'm already out of the game.
Yeah, you can open it up till later.
Alrighty. Well, I will talk to you mañana.
Yeah,
enjoy your day off and your movie.
You know it. Have a good night and dress safe.
Well, when you said earlier that you were gonna like go watch the movie after you woke up and stuff, I was like, damn, he's gonna wake up early before work and go watch that, or?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about like 11 or something. Because it's like half price. Oh no, it's not half price. Never mind. It's only
it's on a Saturday.
Like, yeah. It's like what, Wednesdays when they do half price or Tuesdays?
I don't even know anymore. Not really too sure.
It's one of those 2 days. Yep, we'll talk to you, man. Have a good night. Drive safe. I don't sound like that. And as always to you guys, have a good night, Jersey. Thank you for joining this stream. Look forward to more streams tomorrow. See you guys, bye.